All right, we're live. Welcome to Romance Happy Hour. I'm Dylann Crush, and I am here tonight with Lynn Chantale and B. Ivy Woods. And Lynn has a partner there. It's kind of cut off. I can see most of you and part of your assistant. So we're excited to have everybody joining us tonight. And I'm going to go ahead and just let the two of you introduce yourselves. Dawn is probably not going to make it tonight. She had something come up at the last minute, and if she does back in time, she'll pop in. Otherwise, I'm going to try to maintain control solo. We'll see how it goes. But I know that Ivy's been here before, and Lynn seems like she's got a handle on things, so I think we'll be in good shape. So. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, Lynn, and tell us what you write, and if you're comfortable telling us where you're from. Yeah, go ahead and let us know.
All right. I am Lynn Chantale. I write African-American, multicultural, interracial romance in romantic suspense, erotic, sweet, runs the gambit pretty much. And I have moved back home to Michigan, so I'm coming to you from lovely Flint town, and I have my lovely assistant with me, which is my favorite sister in the whole wide world. She's going to be reading for me because I am visually impaired, and it doesn't matter how large I get the type, I still can't see it.
So I have to ask, do you have more than one sister?
Yeah.
Okay, just checking. Because I only have one sister, and I say she's my favorite sister all the time, and so...
Well, she tells me she's my only sister, so... But that still doesn't mean she's my favorite, you know.
That's true.
Right.
Very true. Hey, if she's willing to come on here and read your work in front of all of us, I think, yeah, you gotta love her.
She's the best.
What's her sister's name?
What was that?
What's her name?
Alicia.
Alicia. Okay, so we don't just have to call you Lynn's sister. Well, welcome to Romance Happy Hour, Alicia.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely, our pleasure. And Ivy, why don't you tell us, you've been on here before, it's been a while.
Yep,
why don't you tell us what you've been up to, and you have a recent release, and today is your birthday.
It is my birthday. I am dirty 30 today.
Ooh, a milestone birthday.
Yeah, it's been a party week. My husband and my daughter's birthdays were yesterday, and now today is mine. So we knocked them all out of the park in a couple of days. So
that was kind of weird planning on your part.
Yeah, really, really weird.
Not that we plan these things, I know.
But my name is B. Ivy Woods, and I write contemporary romance and romantic suspense, also multicultural / African-American romance. And I am coming to you from Virginia, and I'm originally from New York City.
Nice.
Very cool. And you have a book that came out
recently? It's coming out November 20th. I had to push it back a little.
Okay.
So, but I will be reading from that book tonight.
Excellent. All right, we have a lot of people saying happy birthday to you, Ivy.
Thank you.
I will not sing for you. If Dawn were here, I'd make Dawn sing, but I'm not going to make you guys suffer through that. So
that's okay.
Did your daughter sing for you?
She got a little angry about it. We asked her to say happy birthday, and she just goes, no. She just turned 2.
Oh, she didn't want to share.
She didn't want to share. She was like, oh, no.
Yeah, it's so about them when they're little. It stays about them though too. It's like once you have kids, your birthdays don't really count or matter so much anymore.
My husband's doing it hard now because his birthday is totally gone at this point.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's crazy. I can't believe that all 3 of you are within 2 days. That's nuts. So I think Ivy said that you were going to read first tonight. Do you have your book with you? Do you want to show us? Do you have the cover or anything you want to show us and tell us which one this is, what series?
So this is my In the Capital series. I don't have that book yet. I'm just really putting the finishing touches on it. But I have two other books that were in the series, which is, sorry, I'm trying to make sure this is in frame, Conspiracy in the Capitol. And then Friends in the Capitol came out in September. And so I am reading from Hidden in the Capitol, which is coming out November 20th.
Okay. I love those covers. I think those are so cool.
Thank you. Yeah.
I really enjoy them. What color is the new cover?
It's a darker blue.
Okay. I was going to say, I've seen it. I just can't remember because I think you have it up.
Yeah. And it's been a little wild writing that story because the first three books in my series are about the same couple. And so this one veers off to one of her best friends. So it's been really kind of wild, like cutting that off. And I've been so focused on this one couple, and I'm like, okay, now I have to tell this next couple story. So that's been pretty interesting and a little difficult, just because I'm so in tune with this other couple.
Yep. No, it does get different when you have to kind of say goodbye to the people that you've been writing about, and then move on to the next couple. I know it's kind of a little bittersweet.
They might come back. We'll see what happens. That's
what's fun. Yeah, when you get to bring them back and people get to catch up with them. So do you need to set up the scene or anything? Or are you going to start with page 1? Or what have you got for us?
I am going to set the scene. It's chapter 7. Essentially, the main character in this book is named Eve, and she's a journalist. And she comes across some information about a sitting congressman that she doesn't completely know what happened, but she's trying to figure it out. And she's investigating and talking to her boss. And then something happens where Pierre comes in and sort of kind of saves the day. And he gets brought up into the drama of what is going on with this congressman.
All right. Well, we're going to leave you to it, and we'll be back when you're done reading. And if you have any questions for Ivy or for Lynn, don't forget to post them in the comments, and I'll keep an eye on those while we go. So, all right. Can't wait to hear.
Perfect. Thank you. Chapter 7 of Hidden in the Capitol. You know what you're digging into could get you into some scorching water, right? Casey, I know. But I know there's something going on there, and I'm going to figure out what it is. Casey tapped her pen on her lips, clearly thinking about how to approach the situation. Eve had just briefed her on the latest information she had discovered about Congressman Blake. Plenty of other reporters have either been stonewalled or left this case in the dust. I know, but I'm not like other reporters. I know you aren't. I'm not telling you not to take this case on, but know that your other work comes first. I can't stop what you do in your free time. Eve nodded her head. Thanks, Casey. Don't mention it, but don't forget that the Senator O'Neill piece is due by tomorrow. Eve sighed, knowing that meant she would probably be up for most of the night finishing that first draft and another round of edits on another article. She nodded once more before standing up and heading to the door. Eve? Eve turned around and looked at her boss. Be careful. If you uncover something huge here, there might be a lot of eyes pointed in your direction. Eve swallowed hard before she opened the door and exited her boss's office. Back at her desk, Eve scanned the files she had compiled on Congressman Blake. He represented a district closer to the middle of Virginia, recently got married to his long-term girlfriend, and had just been reelected. The photos presented the image of a poised man who joined the world of politics after owning his own profitable small business for almost 2 decades. The more digging she did, the more she came up empty-handed. What was she missing? Was this all a wild goose chase? No, it couldn't be. Her instincts were telling her that something was there, and she just needed to find the small thread that, once pulled, would cause everything to unravel. She rubbed her temples to relieve the tension building in her skull, but she knew that any relief would be temporary. The reason for the pain was stress, which probably wasn't going anywhere anytime soon. The letter she received a couple of weeks ago reared its ugly head every time she thought about Congressman Blake, but she was determined not to let this deter her from finding out what was missing. Plus, she hadn't heard from whoever sent that weeks ago. Out of sight, out of mind, right? Her phone vibrating on her desk brought her out of the trance the story usually pulled her into. The name on the screen caused her heart rate to quicken. It was Kane. Kane, I know this is last minute, but would you be willing to get a drink this evening? I'll be finishing up a meeting around 6 o'clock. Part of Eve told her to run away as fast as possible in the other direction. The other part of her wanted to know why he wanted to get drinks, and would that lead to something more. Eve shook her head. Way to go 10 steps further than necessary. Figuring she didn't have anything else to lose, Eve texted him back. Eve, sure. Want to meet me at bar 10 at 6:15? There, she decided, on a place that was in between her job and her home, thinking it would be easier for her to go home after everything was over. Drinks. It's just drinks, Eve. She closed her eyes and opened them again, letting the thoughts of Kane leave her mind so she could concentrate on finishing the day out strong. Several hours later, she waved to the security guard at the front desk and went on her way to meet Kane for drinks. Thoughts about why he wanted to meet flew through her head, along with what drinks she was going to order. After all, she should celebrate making it through Monday unscathed. It was the little things. When Eve was about a block away from bar 10, she waited for the walk sign to change. When it did, she stepped out into the street, and a couple seconds later, a light flashed out of the corner of her eye. She saw the car coming, but it wasn't going too fast. She thought it would stop since they had a red light. Next, tires screeched, and that's when she knew something was wrong. She swung her head back toward the car and saw that the car had, in fact, sped up and was charging at her. This car is trying to kill me. The flight or fight moment came, and Eve was temporarily frozen in place. Before she could think further, she felt the wind leave her body, but she didn't land on cold asphalt. No, she landed on something hard, yet warm. When she looked down, she found beautiful hazel eyes staring back at her. Kane? Was this real life, or was it a mirage she was experiencing because she had a concussion? Either of those options could be true, and she would believe it. Are you okay? Did you get hurt anywhere? The voice sounded real. I think so? Eve couldn't stop the quivering of her voice. She had come so close to death that there was no way her heart rate was slowing down anytime soon. His hand slowly moved down her arms, and he studied her face, trying to figure out if she was telling the truth. If you're able to move, we should be able to get across the street before any more cars come. Eve had forgotten that they were still lying down in the middle of traffic. Just as Eve was about to get up, a woman rushed over to them. Are you guys okay? She asked in a rush. She held out her hand, which Eve took gladly, to pull herself off of Kane. When she was standing, she realized she missed the comfort of his embrace. Eve looked down and saw that Kane was helping himself off the road. It clicked that he had taken the brunt of their fall, and she rushed over to help him up. Are you okay? The fact that he was more worried about her than himself spoke volumes in her mind. Kane dipped his head. Might have some soreness in my back tomorrow, but other than that, I feel good. Kane turned to the woman who had helped Eve and asked, Did you see the accident happen? The woman nodded. I was down the street and saw the aftermath and came rushing over to see if I could help. Her eyes darted towards Eve. That car was gunning for you. The driver had plenty of opportunity to slow down or swerve, but didn't. Did you notice anything about the car? Did you see the driver? The woman bit her lip before she said, It was a dark-colored car, maybe black or navy blue. I couldn't see the driver from where I was standing. I was also too far away to get a good look at the license plate. Eve glanced at Kane as he muttered a curse that confirmed her feelings too. This might be a dead end. Do you want to call the police? Eve thought that was a logical solution, but Kane hesitated. I think that's a good idea. She looked at Kane. Then we can go out for a drink or 10? Eve's comment forced Kane to look at her. Although he nodded and agreed with what she said, she could see that there was still some uncertainty in his eyes.
You gonna leave us there before they go for drinks?
Sorry.
Oh, get into it. What happened?
Yeah, I'm like, okay, they're gonna go get drinks. Woo! No, thank you for sharing that with us. That was I really enjoyed that.
Thank you.
So I could totally picture it too.
Mm-hmm.
So we do have quite a few questions coming in already, which is good because, being here by myself, we don't have Dawn talking all the time. So it'll be good to give us something to chat about. Sarah wants to know, I think that was the first one. Yeah, Sarah wants to know, and this is for both of you, Lynn and Ivy, what is your daily writing routine? And I know that Sarah is also a writer. So she asks a lot of really good questions about process and things like that. So who wants to go first? Why don't you talk, Lynn? We haven't had a chance to hear much from you yet. Why don't you go first?
Okay. My daily writing routine, it's fairly simple. When I get stuck on a scene, I go knit and just let the ideas, go back and forth in my head and play out, and or listen to a book. Since let's say my oldest son, who is actually very good as a sounding board, he gets a little busy, so I don't have access to him like I used to. But
oh my gosh, how old is your son? He will let you bounce ideas off of him for
absolutely. He just turned 27.
Oh my gosh, he's like a unicorn. When I start to ask my husband, like, what do you think? I mean, you could just see like the eyes glaze over, and it's kind of like this. Yeah, it all sounds good.
Oh no, yeah, no. He gives me actually some really good input, and on
That's awesome.
the latest story that I've written or writing, he's actually been pretty instrumental with some of the details that I need.
That's really cool. Yeah, all my kids. My one daughter, when we were driving, we drive up to northern Minnesota every once in a while, and every once in a while I'll run ideas by her on the way up or in the car and everything. And one time she's like, "Mom, can we just maybe not talk about your books this time? I really don't like it."
Oh no.
And I mean, she's 16, so it's not like I'm talking about like general plot ideas. I write some steamy stuff too, but not like those parts, not those parts, but just kind of like background and backstory and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh yeah, we don't have to talk about my books. I'll have to verbally process with someone who cares.
Uh-huh.
So, but yeah, that's really cool that he is open to talking to you and actually gives you some good feedback, it sounds like.
Oh yeah, my family is pretty good about that. Whether it's my children or my sister, brothers, they've all had a hand, and we've all had that conversation. Hey, I need to ask you a personal question, and
they don't run away.
No, they don't. They don't.
Those are good people.
So they already know. It's like, yeah, she's gonna ask something that. Something very personal. It's like, okay. And I'm like, really? You just asked me that? Yes, I did. Is that okay?
Whoops.
Yeah. And they answer.
So how about you, Brittany? Do you have, I'm sorry, Ivy. Oh my gosh.
You're fine. It's okay.
You know what? Somebody in the comments said, hi, Brittany, and I saw it.
That's a family member.
We'll go back and edit that out if I can figure out how. How about you, Ivy? What's your writing process?
For the most part, it's been ideas that have just been floating around in my head. I just started publishing this year, so I probably have like 50 ideas that I've already written down that just need to be written. And so, but I also do kind of use my husband as a sounding board in terms of helping me like flesh out a character. In my book, Behind the Hill, which I have right here, the main character is a computer programmer, and my husband is a computer programmer, and so he helped me make her seem more realistic with her job, because I know nothing about computer programming. Tell me something, I'm just like, my eyes glaze over. But no, my husband is very into his job. He loves it, and so he was happy to sit down and break things down like that for me. And I think it's a really intricate part of the series because I really wanted to show a strong woman who was in a STEM field, because I feel like that's not as common. And so having him help me with that was amazing. And then I guess other writing process stuff, I bounce ideas off of. We have a sprint group that we chit chat a lot in, and it's helpful to get advice and talk to other writers who are in the trenches with me, trying to write their books and things like that.
All right. And then Cassandra wants to know, Ivy, what inspired you to write the series?
Ooh.
Actually, two people kind of asked a similar question. Whitney kind of asked, how did you come up with your series? So those kind of go together.
So I've been in the DC area. Oh gosh, how long has it been? Yes.
When you can't remember, it's just, yeah,
A while.
forever. Yeah.
I've hopped around in politics. I've worked on Capitol Hill. I've worked for the federal government. I've worked for trade associations. I've worked with consultants, and just that experience encouraged me and helped me to want to make DC a backdrop to my series. And so then I just throw in like the romantic elements, and then things of that nature, and like women in their 20s/30s, and it just blew up from there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you're doing something right because people love them. Let's see. Okay, we need another one. How do you come up with your characters in your stories? And she threw a y'all in there, so I know Whitney is my people because that's a. So I need to know where Whitney's from. But Whitney wants to know, how do you come up with your characters in your stories for both of you? So Lynn, you want to take that one first?
How do I? Sometimes they're based off of real people, and then other times they're just they're totally fictionalized, and I might give them some quirks from people that I know, but sometimes they'll just pop into my head and be like, hey, I'm Carson, or I'm Natalie, and you need to write my story.
And what happens if you don't write their story?
Oh my gosh.
They will bug me.
Okay. Yeah.
I do.
Yeah, I used to think like sane people don't really understand that, but now I know it's just a writer thing. Because, you know, sometimes when you say, and if you don't pay attention to them, they get louder and they get more persistent. And
They really do. They really
and
do.
some people look at you when you talk like that and you're kind of like, so, I mean, do you actually hear the voices or?
Yes.
Like, sometimes, yeah. So how about you, Ivy? How do you come up with your characters? Same way?
So for in the Capital series, a lot of the conversations that happen between the girlfriends are conversations I've had with my friends. And like including like some of my best friends will tell me like, yeah, I remember when that happened. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. it popped into a book. And I usually feed off of inspiration, like Lynn said, from people in my real life, and then add quirks and things like that. Usually my villains aren't really some people I know in real life. I just like watch TV and I'm like, oh, well, that's a really interesting quirk. Add that here. And like, they just get so extreme and like so, I don't even know, just wild. And so that's usually how I come up with the person that's supposed to be the bad guy in the end. Because I usually write romantic suspense.
And do either one of you use like vision boards or smells? Or I mean, I've heard some authors that, you know, when they're coming up with like their male characters, they'll save up like those little perfume like cologne samples that come in magazines and stuff, and they'll like associate that with, you know, like, this is what my guy smells like. And so then, you know, when they're writing, they'll be smelling that. And I haven't done much smell. I mean, I do usually keep Pinterest boards, but the smell idea, or like a song that it, you know, or a voice or something like that. Do you use anything like that to kick off your characters?
Yes, all of the above. Sometimes there'll be a specific song, and I've actually told my sister this, that a lot of times the genre of music that I'm listening to has absolutely nothing to do with a scene. It's just something that inspires me. So I can be listening to a gospel song and, you know, writing, unfortunately, a murder scene, but, you know, but it's just something that, you know, keeps me going, and it's on a loop. So you'll be listening to the same song for like 3 hours. And
Well, and then, I mean, it just fades into the background. Yeah. But I've done that too, where I've made up, you know, like a playlist for each book that I'm writing, and then, you know, I'll listen to it. Maybe I have like an hour's worth of songs, but then if I'm out driving around and I hear it on the radio, it's kind of cool because then my mind immediately like gets thrown back into the story. So I kind of use it as, you know, a trigger that it's time to write. This is what we're writing. You know, play it on repeat. And sometimes it takes me a I don't know, I can procrastinate and spend a couple hours putting together my playlist because that's sometimes easier than actually sitting down and writing the book, right?
Right.
No, I make playlists and I also have candles. So like I just wrote a holiday book. And so I have Mountain Lodge right here.
Nice.
And I have like Yankee candles on my thing, so I apologize. I have Christmas cookie right here. Like so like it's so helpful. Sorry about the lacking of class. But yeah, definitely playlist, candles. I have a Pinterest board. I haven't advertised that as much, but usually I'm on Pinterest, like looking up like different outfits that I kind of see the characters wearing and trying to get an idea of how to describe in detail what they're wearing, or what they look like, or things like that. Pinterest, which I know everyone can say will send you down rabbit holes. Next thing I know, I have like $100 in my Amazon cart and didn't plan on buying. in a way to procrastinate writing this.
Yes. Yeah, I don't think we lack for ways to procrastinate when it comes to writing, since most of the time we're doing it on a computer or, you know, with technology, it makes it really easy to just get sidetracked for a couple minutes or a few hours somewhere else. Linda wants to know for Ivy, your book covers. She says she loves your book covers. What's your process in choosing the right one for your story?
Ooh, so I work with my cover designer. His name is Willette, and she's fantastic. And I give her an idea of what I'm envisioning, and then she'll put together a rough draft and give me maybe a couple of options of what she was thinking based on what I said. And then she'll ask me for feedback, and I'll say, oh, well, I was hoping that the background for this book would be a darker feel, which is actually what we did for Hidden in the Capitol. Originally, we had a lighter background, and I was like, well, there's some kind of stuff with car chases and people getting hit by cars, potentially getting hit by cars. You might want to look at that. And so that's what we did. And so we just play, like, we talk, we play the cover back and forth before we were like, okay, this is great. This sounds like the story you're writing, fantastic. And then we sign off on it.
And how about you, Lynn? Do you work with a specific designer, or do you use a couple different people?
I do. For this series, the True Detective series, I'm using Rebecca with Dreams to Media, and she's fantastic. So usually I'll give her a description of what I want and let her know a little bit about the story, and she takes it from there. And the covers she's done for me are phenomenal.
It's nice when you can find somebody that kind of gets you, you know, that can take the ideas in your head and make them actually come out and appear on the screen. That's it's priceless when you can find someone to do that. But don't tell them that, because we can't afford to pay priceless fees for covers. All right, we've got one more question from Sarah, and then I want to hear from Lynn. So Sarah wants to know, and she slipped a y'all in there too. Tonight is the night of y'alls. Are y'all traditionally published or indie?
Indie.
Me too, indie.
And have both of you, I know for you, Ivy, you've always been indie. Have you ever been traditionally published, Lynn, or is it all indie for you?
I would say up until about 5 years ago, I wasn't a traditional publisher, but then I did diversify and with indie. So now I'm just all indie.
I love that you use the word diversified, because I mean, that's exactly what it is. Because when you're with the traditional publisher and then go indie, I mean, you are diversifying, because you can only sell so many traditional books a year to traditional publishers. So I'm hybrid, but I love both. So I totally appreciate the word that you used. That was a great word. All right. So is Alicia ready to read? Is she still with us? Did we scare her off yet?
No, not yet. I don't know why she would be scared. She always tells me I've been writing letters for Penthouse or Hustler. So this should be fairly simple for her.
So does she not read your books when they're published?
Have you read some of her scenes?
Yeah, my youngest, when I was looking for an excerpt, a PG-13 excerpt,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it was a little difficult. My son told me, he said, "Mom, you said a PG-13 excerpt in one of your books?" Okay, thanks, son. Yeah. So it was a little difficult, but I did find one. I did
Oh,
find
good. So are we going to get to hear much of it, or is it going to be a super short reading? Like you've only got about 30 seconds in between steamy scenes that you can actually share with us?
Oh, no. I think it's about 8 minutes or so. So yeah, it's
Just teasing.
I know. We got a little bit there, but this is from True Detective series, book 2, His True Protectors, which hopefully will be out on the 4th of December. I do have pre-order links, and I'll get those posted
Awesome.
for the readers. And I can't remember which chapter this is from, but this is after they've been to a swingers party and they've discovered another body.
All right. Well, we will leave you and Alicia to it, and we'll be back after.
Alrighty.
So would you like to explain why there's a picture of you with the deceased? Matt demanded. They now sat in their vehicles. Let's go to the other house, Carton says, tightly. Matt huffed as he started the car. Tensions was the unwelcome passenger on the 10-minute ride. No one spoke, no one laughed, no one joked. The only concession was the hip-hop on the radio that was an old song of Jay-Z demanding everyone to get their damn hands up. Soon the 2-story house came into view. They once again parked a block away. Natalie didn't even wait for the men, choosing to hurry ahead. She had the door unlocked and open by the time they caught up to her. Still no one spoke as they filed up the stairs and until the bedroom turned dim. She looked from Matt to Carson, threw her hands up and stumped from the room, mumbling something about them being a pair of idiots. So where's this hidden room, Carson said. Matt trailed his fingers across the seam of the last mirror, found the depression and pushed. Carson entered the room, waiting for Matt to join him. Once the doors closed and released a sigh, there was worse than he anticipated. With building dread, Carson walked to the makeshift desk and sat down. He wiggled the mouse and the monitor came to life on a password screen. He typed a few keys and waited. The cursor disappeared and seemed to explode into tiny pixels, which formed into a file list. Why do you know how to do that? Because I helped set up the server. Natalie walked through the office. She hasn't searched this room earlier as Matt looked through it, but now she was looking through something specific. She's seen the photos at the other house, and now she wanted to see if there was something similar here. By the silence in her earbud, she knew Carson and Matt was in the server room. Idiots. They just needed to slug it out and get over with it, whatever it was. She worked methodically but quickly. There was nothing in the drawer or taped to the back of the keyboard. She stood in the middle of the room and turned in a slow circle. If she were him, where would she keep photos? With the other books, she hurried downstairs to the bookcase. She ran her fingers along the spines of the books and found a photo album nestled in between a book on Fortran and another DOS. She wiggled the book out and flipped through the pages. There were family photos, articles, shelves, and other moments of someone else's life. Pausing on a well-worn funeral program, she allowed a bit of melancholy to surface. Natalie touched the color photo of a Black woman, her smile bright and open. Danetta Brown was hardly out of her 40s before she died. Sucking in a breath, Natalie continued. Again, she stopped when she found a newspaper clipping and a faded photo of Carson. It was a headshot from a school picture. A smile creased her lips. Even then, he brought in good looks in bedroom eyes. Carefully, she unfolded the yellow newsprint. No leads in lunch glitch. She sucked in a breath at the headline. A knot of apprehension settled in the pit of her stomach. Quickly, she scanned the article. Administrators filled a glitch in their new system, but upon closer investigation from their IT department, discovered a security breach, which allowed individuals access to meal plans. Instead of stealing information, students were giving free meals. A tiny smile creased her lips as she touched the page. The article, they had no leads on the hack, but she could draw her own conclusions. Carson hadn't been the one to do that particular hack, but the man who died believed otherwise. When most geeks were changing grades for themselves and their friends, he was feeding people. That was so like him. She thumbed through a few more clippings, all of them having to do with hacks and the authorities never being able to find the perpetrators. The last article snagged her attention. This time, a cool $250,000 was swiped in an impressive cyber heist. What was so sweet about the theft was how it went undiscovered for nearly 2 years. But then any trails of where the money was were long cold. Oh crap, she murmured. Closing her eyes, she leaned against the bookcase and blew out a breath. The past was coming back. Her hand shook slightly as she closed the album. She had to show the guys what she'll find, but first, she tucked the album under her arm, then walked towards the back of the house. There was a door off the kitchen she hasn't noticed. Natalie turned the knob, pushed open the wood. She felt along the smooth, cool wall for a switch and flipped the light. Bright light highlighted plush carpet on the stairs. The footstep was cushioned as she descended. The faint odor of fresh paint with the underlying tinge of smoke filled the air. She flipped on the light as she went. She entered the first door on her right. He's been in the lifestyle, a St. Andrew's cross along with a leather spanking bench and a few other furnishings was scattered around the room. She walked to a wall covered in floggers, whips, paddles, and other implements she couldn't name. Walking closer to the cross, she observed one of the D-rings at the top was missing. These things were sturdy. For a ring to be missing, her gaze flickered from the splintered wood in a small dark droplet. She bent and touched it. Dry blood? She studied the direction of the droplet, then found more just a few steps away. She followed them out of the space to a room further down the hall and to the left. The paint smell was stronger, here as well as a burnt electric scent. She ran her hand along the wall for a switch and flipped it on. An office, a heavy wood desk accompanied in the middle of the room. She carefully crossed the wide expanse and cold chill walked down her spine. The hairs on the back of her neck stood on end. Carefully, she looked around the room, moving closer to the desk. She braced for the fission of violent energy, then clung to the air. With trembling fingers, she traced a few divots in charred wood on the surface. Like most hardcore hackers, the victim had installed explosive in his unit, a precaution against any theft. Tears burned her eyes. Had she caused this? Were the things she did as a broken, desperate teenager responsible for the lives of 2 men? Natalie drew in a ragged breath, then blew it out in a slow, steady stream. And now her men were targets. She had to do all she could to protect her men. Squaring her shoulders, she retraced her steps, turning off the lights as she went. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I never meant for any of this to happen." Natalie carried the album upstairs into the server room where she found Matt and Carson. Glaring at one another, she held up the book. "So why is someone killing your old classmates?"
Ooh. Whoa. Sounds like there's a lot of backstory to that one that we're not exactly privy to with that short excerpt, but I'm intrigued.
Yeah, there's a lot going on.
Thank you, Alicia.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you, Mommy. Thank you.
That was a good job. That was very, very enjoyable. So I am intrigued because I think most people don't know when we have people sign up for Romance Happy Hour, we just, kind of like put it out there and say, here are the dates we have open. And so, for authors, they just kind of pick a date that works for them. And so to have both of you on tonight and you both write, kind of similar, a little bit of intrigue, a little bit of, you mentioned a hacker. It's like, because we never know what we're going to get. We might have paranormal with somebody who writes contemporary or historical. So it's kind of funny that you're both writing in a little bit of a similar genre, and we didn't plan that at all. But yeah, no, I feel like we're intrigued by both. So if you have any questions for Lynn or Ivy, please post them in the comments. I wanted to know for both of you, because, as you are writing in, I don't know, would you call that romantic suspense or more thriller, or like, I guess, how would both of you describe the books you read from tonight?
More suspense than a thriller.
Okay.
Similar, yeah.
So what's interesting to me as, kind of a straight up contemporary author is, where do you come up with all the ideas for the crimes and then the clues? And, are you just watching a lot of true crime videos, or do you have this past that we don't know about that maybe gave you access to that kind of information? Like, where do those ideas come from?
Sometimes it's part of my background is culinary arts and customer service. I worked in a bank, and I think when I worked in the bank, they were doing a merger at that time, and I said, wouldn't it be interesting if I wrote a story where someone was trying to sabotage the merger because of I couldn't remember what the exact motive was, but and I said, hey, that sounds pretty good. Or just different little scenarios, like what happens if somebody calls on a bomb threat? What then? Just different scenarios that they would prepare us for at work. And I said, that would make a good story.
Because when you first said culinary arts and customer service, I wasn't sure how that connected to crime and suspense, but now I get it.
Yeah, it's like stealing Christmas. The baker, the cake decorator. There's a crazed Santa that's after her. So it just works.
So how about you, Ivy? You said you have quite a background working in DC, so you probably had access to, I don't know, some behind the scenes scenarios that may or may not have ever been true that maybe inspired things.
Yeah, what's funny is I refused to watch House of Cards because I was working on Capitol Hill at the time, and I was like, oh no, I can't deal with this. This potential might be happening on the Hill. Like, I don't know what I'm going to do if I knew this information was true. A lot of my inspiration is from like TV shows. The amount of times I've watched Law and Order SVU should be criminal at this point. It's definitely usually not so much now, but when I in high school and college, it was definitely on in the background a lot while I was doing different things. And then like you said, my political background is what helped inspire in the Capitol mostly. It Behind the Hill does have a bits of political stuff in it, but I think in the Capitol series has a lot more. And I'm not talking about like Republican, Democrat, but like the problem, how things happen. At least that's how I heard things. So maybe things have changed since I've been on the Hill. But yeah, and I think a lot of my inspiration is drawn from like TV shows, and I was a huge fan of the Nancy Drew series.
Oh, me too.
Oh,
Yep.
I love Nancy Drew.
It holds a special place in my heart, and I can't wait for my daughter to be old enough to start reading them too. I read all the books. I played the video games. I still like to play video games at 30. So like
I never knew there were video games. See, I'm older than you, so they didn't have video games when I was at the age that I was actually reading the Nancy Drew books. But
Yeah, they came out the late 90s, I think.
okay.
Like 98 maybe. There are about 35 games now, maybe.
Oh wow.
Wow.
A bunch of different puzzles and stuff like that, and has like a story, a background. Yeah,
That's kind of cool.
on that. Between that and like The Sims was like my thing when I was born.
My daughters love The Sims, so we had to work around that a little bit. I'm like, some of the Sim stuff, I'm like, not so sure. Yeah, not so sure. Not appropriate. But yeah, we're into pets now. Sims pets. Like you can have pets.
That's fine.
Yeah. No, that's really interesting. Yeah, I had no idea that there were Nancy Drew video games. But you know what is super sad? Okay, so I read all the Nancy Drew books, and then we were at a garage sale. And when my daughter was, becoming a reader, I was like, oh, Nancy Drew books, you've got to read Nancy Drew. And she read a couple. She's like, I don't know, Mom. Like she'd rather read like.
That hurt my heart.
I know, me too. Yes, imagine as a mother. Yeah. I'm like, oh my gosh, you're kidding. Like the Little House books, some of those. Some of the, I was like, I don't know. I'm going to really age myself, but Beverly Cleary, I'm like, really? Yeah. I know. Now they have, like all of these, I'm just happy my kids are reading, so, any book is a great book, but, now there's a lot of like the graphic novels and they loved those instead because you get the pictures and the words and it's kind of like reading comics. And so, yeah, it'll be different by the time your peanut is old enough to appreciate Nancy Drew. I hope she loves them. Ivy.
They are literally sitting in my mom's garage waiting for her.
You know what? If you start reading them to her now, even though she won't understand what's going on, then you'll just like subliminally be preparing her for them, and she'll crave them when she gets older. So,
no, are they the original Nancy Drew, or are they the ones that they've modernized?
No, they're the original, like yellow hardcover. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Very cool. There was somebody we had on one time. I don't remember who it was, but they had, I think, like a collection on a bookshelf behind them. Was it Anna Michaels? Oh. Anna had the Harlequins. Anna had like all the Harlequins, but I thought there was somebody. I know we've talked about Nancy Drew before, but
Anna Michaels' collection is gorgeous.
Oh yeah,
rainbow colored, like it's
crazy.
Yeah,
it's crazy. I know. I had massive bookshelf envy when she came on. All right, we do have a question from Linda. Linda wants to know, is there a genre that you have wanted to write but haven't written as yet?
Yes.
Are you going to tell us what it is?
Yes. So it's stepping off of Nancy Drew. I would love cozy mysteries.
Nice. Ooh. Well, and that would, that's not much of a departure from what you're doing now, except
none of the sexy time and stuff. But
well, that's true. That's true. And you'd have to have a small town where, like 300 people live and 297 die, but there always seem to be. I love cozy mysteries. This is not a knock on cozy mysteries at all. It's just funny, because it's like you have a small town that there aren't that many people that live there, but yet how are there so many murders?
Murder, She Wrote.
Exactly.
Love that show too.
Yes.
I used to watch it with my grandma all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I love that show.
It's a great show.
No, I think you should definitely write cozy mysteries. How about you, Lynn? You write across quite a few different genres already. Is there anything you haven't done that you want to try?
No, I think I haven't done it all, but it's what I do. I've branched out into Christian romance. So
is that what you read from tonight?
No.
Because I was going to say that might be a new direction.
No.
So do you write under different pen names then, or do you write everything under?
No, okay. I have a different pen name for my Christian romance novel.
Got it. Most authors who who I know that do write like massively different genres, like say they write, like erotic romance and Christian romance, they do write under different pen names because yeah, it's kind of dicey when you try to share audiences across
Yes.
genres like that. So there's nothing else you would maybe try. Have you written poetry?
Yes, I have.
Awesome.
Yes,
Yeah.
What hasn't she done?
I don't know. Let's see. What can we find out? Have you written dinosaur erotica? Because
Oh my
that was
gosh,
a thing
no.
a while ago. Have you written that yet?
No, I haven't.
There you go. 2021 will be your year.
I might try that. Just post it on my website, just as a as a weekly thing. Say, hey, what should the dinosaurs do today?
Or do you write much paranormal?
Actually, I do.
Okay. I don't know. What do you want? What do you have, Ivy? Come up with something else. What have you got?
Historical romance?
No, that requires too much research.
Yeah.
I have a hard enough time keeping up with my Aztec gods and trying to keep those facts straight. So to do something that's straight historical, whew.
So how do you keep track of things? That's, as we kind of get into the background and process of how you keep things organized. Are you a plotter? Are you a pantser?
A bit of both.
Same.
Okay.
A bit of both. But for the series, I have my series Bible, and I keep everything that I need to know or my editor needs to know in there, in that one document. So everything from the way the office looks to family members and what characters are going to be in each story is in that document.
And do you, I know some authors keep like a wiki. I've heard some people do it in Excel. Some people do it in Scrivener. Do you do it like an Excel spreadsheet or a Word doc or?
Word doc.
Okay.
Or Pages since I'm on a Mac.
Okay. Yep.
And
How about you, Ivy?
I use Scrivener for the most part. I do have an Excel spreadsheet for my series Bible. I just started using something called Plotter.
Ooh, me too.
Which has been pretty cool. I'm still learning all of its functions. But being able to see the timeline and stuff like that has been super helpful for a romance I'm planning for 2021.
Okay. Yeah, I really like the program. I have a hard time. I've decided, now it's only taken me like how many decades of life to figure out, like, I'm not super good at visual spatial, like organizing stuff. So I get almost paralyzed when I open up Plotter and I can't even decide, like, should my timeline run horizontally or vertically, like that right there stops me in my track. But seeing how other people are using it has been really helpful. Because there are some people out there that, you look at like how they have all their stuff organized and that has been super helpful. So I'm constantly looking to other people's information to see what I can pull and use in my own stuff.
I still use an old-fashioned whiteboard at times.
Yep.
Yeah. Just to see everything, how it unfolds.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I know a lot of authors will still plot with note cards or Post-its that they can move around. I mean, I've tried a bazillion different things to see what works for me. So I'm always looking for the thing that's going to be like the best way. But have you found also that different books kind of require different tools? Because, what works for plotting one book or putting one book together, you try to use that on the next one and it doesn't work at all?
Yes.
Definitely. For my romantic suspense, I've been using Save the Cat. Okay.
And for those of you that don't know what Save the Cat is, it's a book that talks about like different beats that go in with a story.
Mm-hmm. That's been super helpful for me for that. But for my contemporary romance, that's coming out, the holiday romance, I use Romance in the Beat for that one, which was very interesting to try to pivot, even though the beats can be somewhat similar, but like it still was hard for my brain to like turn off like the cat. Romance in the Beat, so that was pretty interesting. Well,
and what's been really interesting is you look at how different people, and these are all kinds of different ways that kind of author, I guess, coaches or people who write books on how to write books. That made sense, right? How to write books. Write books on how to write books, right? A lot of them have different beats and things like that. And so, you know, when you talk about romancing the beat, Gwen Hayes has like certain beats that you kind of make sure that you meet in a book with romance. And then like Save the Cat has different beats that you make sure you hit. And so it's just all related to story structure. But yeah, it's interesting because I would say the vast majority of them, they all say the same thing or super similar, but just in a different way. And so, and depending on, yeah, what book I'm working on or what I'm reading, sometimes one way resonates better than others. So Linda wants to know, are you a morning person or a night owl?
Night owl all day.
Yes. More of a night owl now, again.
So do you typically write more at night?
Yes. There's less distractions at night than there are during the day. And even when my kids were young, I found that I prefer writing at night versus in the daytime.
Yeah, my toddler keeps me on my toes during the day. So when she's down for her naps or at night, it's like, oh, game on, let's go. I try to get as many words done as I can while she's sleeping.
Yeah, you got to make sure that you take advantage of those moments when you can find them.
Oh, yes, definitely.
So we're coming up on an hour. I told you it would go fast. But I want to remind everybody that both of you have giveaways running on the Romance Happy Hour Facebook page. Ivy is giving away a copy of
Conspiracy in the Capitol, which is right here.
Ta-da! You can find the post on the Romance Happy Hour Facebook page. I think you've asked people to follow you on BookBub for an entry. So if you do that, come back and comment on that post, and we'll get you entered for that. And Lynn, you are giving away a gift card.
Yes, a $10 Amazon gift card.
Awesome, because nobody likes book money. So, and for a chance to win that, you are asking people to join your reader group. And so
Correct.
Both of those are posted on the Romance Happy Hour Facebook page. We're going to leave that open until Sunday night. So you have a chance to go in and get your entry in for that. And then we'll announce a winner. We did have one more question come in from Whitney, who did tell me earlier that she's from Georgia. So thanks, Whitney. I was curious. Whitney wants to know, do y'all have any favorite authors? I always hate this question, so I'm going to let you both answer it. Because
I have a lot of favorite authors.
I mean, it's a good question, but it's hard to answer because, yeah, there are just too many.
Oh, goodness. Jonathan Maberry is one.
What does he write?
He writes sci-fi, horror, action. Probably known for his Joe Ledger series, which I absolutely fallen in love with. And if Top Sims was real, that would be my boyfriend. But trying to think who else is there that I read quite a bit. Carolyn Haynes is another one. She does Bones, the Bones series. The Devil Bones. I think that's what I'm reading right now. That's her newest one. And what's it? Clive Cussler. Kind of see a theme there. Paranormal.
A little bit.
It's horror. Yeah.
I see Ivy making notes.
What I'm reading right now.
Oh.
Yeah,
do you have any favorites, Ivy?
Yeah. So I fangirled hard when Lucy Score was on Romance Happy Hour. Oh, how long was it ago now? Month?
It's been a couple months, yeah.
I was freaking out. I absolutely love her. C.D. Rice, I love her. So I'm entering, I guess more of my taste stays in, I guess, romance, contemporary, rom-com, dark romance. I'm trying to think of who else. And I'm like skimming through my Kindle, like, who do I have on here? Piper Rain, Kennedy Ryan, Laura Lee James. Definitely stick. As I've gotten older, I've, I guess, narrowed my focused down to romance. It used to be Harry Potter and
Mm-hmm.
Spell and things like that, but as I know, like mostly focus on romance and romantic suspense and rom-com and all the genres in between there.
Well, and I think too, I don't know, this year I find myself reading more romance. It's just this year has just been a really rough year in so many different ways. And I think with romance, I mean, you might go through a roller coaster, but you know you're going to end up with a happy ending.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I value that so much. So.
Especially this year, like you said, like 2020. Woo!
Yep. I think we need romance more than ever in 2020. So.
Yes.
Well, romance. Thank you both for being on with us. I really appreciate it. I'm sorry Dawn didn't join us, but she should be back for next time. And we do not have another Romance Happy Hour episode this month because that would be Thanksgiving. And as much as Dawn and I love spending time with our author friends and all of our viewers, we figured they would probably rather spend time with their family on Thanksgiving than hang out with us. So we don't do a show on Thanksgiving, but we do have first ever Romance Happy Hour holiday party coming up on December 3rd. And if you want to be one of the first to find out how to get in on that, it's going to be via Zoom. So, and we are having a couple people who have confirmed, maybe someone that Ivy just mentioned a few minutes ago that was super excited to see will be at our holiday party.
Well, now I know.
So, that's right. So make sure you sign up for the Romance Happy Hour newsletter, and that way you'll be one of the first to know. Because, that will be coming up on December 3rd. And John and I have been stockpiling giveaways and prizes for that, and it's going to be fantastic. So I hope you'll join us for that. That'll be the next live event. I don't want to say show because it's not really going to be a show. It's just going to be a blast. December 3rd will be the holiday party. And then we'll just have one more Romance Happy Hour episode before the end of 2020. So it's coming to an end, y'all. I know that 2021, it might start off rocky, but having 2020 come to an end, I think will be good for all of us. So. All right. Well, thanks for joining us. Thank you, everybody who stuck with us, and we will see you next time. Don't forget to go and enter the giveaway. We'll leave that open till Sunday night.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
Absolutely. I really enjoyed talking with both of you. All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.